shit. Hey, it's your girl, Miss Dinalva, doing a little bit of a doom scroll reaction at Mischief Managed Media. Make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe so that you can always have access to the most fun, most informative, and most troublesome content on the whole entire internet. So today, like I told you, we're going to be doing some doom scrolling. So we're going to have some random topics. It's not going to be anything in particular, just anything that pops up on our screen. So let's get started.
The first time I slept with a dude paid me to sleep with his wife, I had already slept with her.
Now that's funny. Now that's funny.
The real story.
He didn't know?
No, he knew.
Oh. And he got rave reviews.
Straight up. So I had met his wife in the Caribbean, slept with her like on some one night stand shit, and then like a couple of years later, he just rolled up on me and was like, "Hey, you know what, my wife, you had sex with my wife." I'm like, "What?" You know what I'm saying? He's like, no. She said it was the best experience she ever had. I want to hire you to do it again. And I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, right? So then he offers me like, all right, yo, we gonna set it up, you know, blah, blah, blah. I was in town. I was like, all right, come to the hotel. And I'm there with two of my homies, right? And I'm talking shit to them like, yeah, yo, man, this dude coming by, bro. I put it down on his wife.
So basically, the man's wife cheated on her husband. So then he found out somehow that his wife cheated and decided to offer the stud who his wife cheated on him with, offered to pay him so that he could sleep with his wife again because he had great feedback from his wife about him. Well, that's Cuck 101, really. One thing, though, I must say, I don't quite understand Cucks. I don't understand why that's something that is exciting and turns them on. Because a lot of the time it's kind of like attached to humiliation. I don't understand how humiliation is pleasure. And also, I don't think that as a woman, I would probably be very attracted or respectful towards a man that has that kind of fetish, you know? How can you be my man? How can I respect you? How can you be my leader, my provider, and all of these sort of things when you want other men to come and do what only you should be doing? Baby, that's called mental health right there, brother.
So bad, you know what I'm saying? Like when I'm talking. And so cause she looked good. So I wanted my boys to see what she looked like, right? So he shows up with his wife. So I'm like, go stick around. And then when she comes, y'all break out. So they open the door and my friends check her out. And they see my two homies, and then he's just like, "Oh, well, hey, you guys stick around too." And I'm like, "What?"
So he paid for his wife to get, what is it called? You call it? Run a train on her by this guy that she already cheated on him with. And then on top of that, he brought his friends to come and check out the thing. And the husband said, "Come again." Bro, I don't even know why people get married if they're going to be doing those things. That you're just kind of like sexually perverted and you don't really know what you want. Because if you really wanted a marriage, a true, you know, partnership for life, this is not the kind of hobbies that you'd be embarking on with other people, with strangers and your wife. Like, come on. I mean, no discrimination to the swingers club, but trust me, I don't align with that. I'm so sorry.
Putting on the show tonight.
So then it ended up.
There's more.
All three of us, which I'm only child, bro. I ain't with that. Right? You know what I'm saying? So, and my boys, obviously, this is something they knew each other years. They do this on a regular. They went into some WWE tag team match on this chick. And I was so like intimidated, like uncomfortable by it. I just sat with the husband. You know what I'm saying? We were chopping it up.
Oh my God. In the end, it became too wild even for the man that was meant to be there doing the act. Even for him, it got a bit too much that he had to tap out and stand out with the husband. But really, my question here really comes down to the woman. Like, who are you? Why is this something that you want to do whilst married, whilst having a husband? Like, as a woman, I really want to understand what goes on in your mind to still be in a relationship, in a partnership with your husband, and allow for these things to happen. Even for his own self-respect, I would feel bad as a woman to put my husband in that position, to the point that actually even the man that initially was paid to come and do the deed is no longer involved. It's his friend. So that means that in that one room there were 4 men, 1 woman, and out of those 4 men only 1 is her husband. So it really begs the question as to why do people even stay in those marriage situations? Is it the kids? I mean, like, do they stay for the kids and then they just go into a madness? Or is it maybe to do with some sort of trauma from the man or the woman's side? Like, I don't understand. Is it the money? Is it because divorce is too hard to get? Like, I don't get why people stay in those relationships and why their desires are to kind of disrespect your husband to his face, you know? And I also don't understand on the man's side how it's maybe on the man's side I think it makes a bit more sense, where he's saying, okay, she's so mine that I have a word on who is going to penetrate her at any time. Even though she's mine, I can share her as long as I want to. But I don't understand on the woman's side, is there like a dominant cuck, or is it always a submissive cuck? I don't know. This is too much for me, actually.
No, but my boys is just...
You killing that shit, boy. That boy over there killing it.
And my boys is just going ham, bro. And so that was the first time that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That probably was more uncomfortable than the Diddy thing.
But you...
Oh, so he's a male escort. And by the sounds of things, he also probably is besties with P. Diddy and Cassie, because I do know that she was doing a madness as well. Okay, in that instance, I don't think that P. Diddy is a cuck in a submissive way, I don't think. It felt like P. Diddy's cuckold shenanigans were really they seem like a display of power and control over the woman. So on his side of things, it does seem like he was letting any guy touch her because he's like, this is my doll that if I want to share with people, I can. But then when it comes to husbands, I don't know. I feel like if you've married a woman, you've got down on one knee, that's the mother of your children, and you're allowing her to be shared with other men, I think that you're a bit of a bitch. That's what it is. I can't think of it any other way. P. Diddy, he wasn't married to her. It was a control thing, I think. And that seems quite obvious. But then husband and wife, nah, the husband is a bit sus, I have to say. Let's see what's coming up next.
The whole Kevin and Brittany thing. What was your take on it?
Oh, snap. I totally forgot that Brittany Renner actually turned, she became Muslim, a born-again Muslim. This is hilarious. And I think she's turned back already. Let's have a look.
Did you see that coming? Like,
Bruh.
What was my take on Brittany wearing a hijab? And then
The sister actually went the full way. She wore the hijab that covered everything, forehead to the neck. You couldn't see nothing. All this for Kevin Gates. Who even is Kevin Gates? Like, my God. Like, she went all the way in for a little... What, did she want to get wifey or something? That's serious desperation. I'd rather be alone than to have to pretend to subscribe to a religion just so that a man could accept me. Like, God forbid. Look what she did.
you know what I really think?
yeah.
I think that when we're all getting into this like social media thing years ago, I'm talking about years ago, before people started going, just years ago, women found it was easy to like show their bodies, you know, do a little something. It was easy to get a lot of attention. And then you realize you can't do this forever. So now you have to figure out, there comes a point in time where those type of women say, the Instagram models say, I can't do this forever. I don't know where I'm gonna pivot or how I'm gonna pivot. And so we think to ourselves, I'm gonna get married. A man will save me. I'm going to attach myself to a husband, right? However that works. A lot of people will go into Christianity. A lot of women will go into Christianity because if you're a good enough Christian and you stay down, you might find a man that'll marry you.
Yeah.
Go into, being Muslim. If I wear a job.
My God. She went with a full shebang. Oh my God, let's have a look. Full shebang. My sister. She to get married, bless her heart.
and I braid down my I braid down my afro and I put on my hijab, a man will marry me.
When she
She even got engaged. Did they actually get married or did they stay on the engagement level? I need to check that out, because if she actually managed to get married, then she did find the formula, the secret formula, the solution. Finally be taken seriously, because you realize that you're too old to now continue being a hoe, and you know it's time to kind of get to plan B. Did she actually get married? Let's find out soon.
posted out in the front.
Glorilla.
And it didn't last long. This whole section of Islam for Brittany Renner did not last long at all. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, because I'm not a very religious person. I feel personally offended or affected by her decision, right? But I can imagine how a lot of the Habibi sisters must have been thinking, bro, like, what's wrong with you? Even, I don't know, do Muslims find Brittany Renner offensive just for the fact that did she pretend? I mean, she converted, then she reverted. So she went from hoe to goody two shoes angel Islamic bride, and then went back to hoe again. Because I've seen her nyash again on the internet. But I'm going to double check on that. But just so you know, the stronger the conversion, the bigger the hoe she was before. Just saying. Men, be very careful with these born again Christians, born again Muslims, whatever. I know that God forgives and all these things, but we're all immortals, okay? We don't have to be as great as God to forgive all the sins that people have committed, because sometimes those sins come with real baggage, you know what I'm saying? So be very careful. And also the sins that we commit, a lot of them, depending on the sin, reflect what's going on in your mind and what your character truly is like. So some of these girls that feel like they've gone through the conversion into religion to kind of clear their sins, I mean, you gotta be careful, because even, for example, Black China did the same thing. She's basically a born again Christian. She's got master's degrees in this and that. I personally think that it's not necessarily a spiritual awakening. I think it's more of a rebrand, because even the way that she conducts herself and the way she even dresses and all these things, as it is now after being converted back into Christianity, it is not very becoming or very representative of Christianity for a woman. You know, she still dresses provocatively, she still shows off, you know, a lot of her body, there's no conservatism at all in the way that she presents herself. So I don't know, I'm not very convinced by, you know, host and angels.
Gorillas never gave a fuck in the
She back.
Damn, I ain't never gave no fuck. No, fell out with them hoes. We ain't never making up.
When I met her,
I'm not interested in shrinking myself for anybody. Well, that's what you did for Kevin Gates, who is another one that sounds like he's smart, because he's also he did fasting for like 30 days. So all of a sudden he's enlightened and he knows everything. And he still, I mean, he didn't fall for your trap. He's just the smartest one. He took advantage of the opportunity. It was a great PR move for him. Took you as much as he needed and then discarded you again. Goes to show you that perhaps religion does not save you. Or perhaps what you presented yourself to be and who you're claiming to be now, perhaps you couldn't really fulfill it to the end. Because, you know, when you do things superficially, eventually you're bound to fall apart. So Brittany Renner being, you know, Muslim proper, you know, heart Muslim, she couldn't do it. Her actions were probably not matching up with her words, because she too did this as a rebrand and PR strategy. Did temporarily get her a man. She did go back on Love and Hip Hop or whichever, you know, show that was. She did get a bit more of a revamp to her popularity, but then it's just falling apart again. I've already seen her doing nonsense. Anyways, let's continue to the next videos.
She was, you know what I'm saying? So they all wanted that. That was the era of sexy women rapping. So, with that being said, yeah, I was just trying to get her, you know, dolled up. Excuse me. You know, just so she can, you know, look cute out.
This is the thing about BBLs, right? I get when you're just on the surface level, just looking at the BBL, you can see like the curves, looks like it looks good, but then when you really look deep, up close and personal, what this is going to morph into as these people age and the elasticity in their bodies just goes to shit. I think we're going to have a lot of monstrous looking girls. But anyway, the whole point is that this guy is talking about how he actually paid for a BBL and how BBLs are part of the budget for female artist development. Insanity.
Self-confidence, all that type of stuff. We did a lot of.
Do artist development.
BBLs are now considered artist development. Crazy, the world that we're living in right now, man.
Does that have to do with surgery and stuff like that, or is that?
Well, I tell you what, the first time, you know what I'm saying, it wasn't happening. It didn't happen, and you know, I saw the confidence go out the roof, but that wasn't part of artist development. You know, it's just what she wanted at the time, and I ain't gonna lie, when the first one, you know what I'm saying, when it happened, yeah, she was turned up, man. You know what I'm saying? Everything was perfect, and I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna keep 20 bands to the side for any artist, any next girl artist that comes. Yeah, I'm gonna just, you know, have that on. BBLs seem to bring a lot of confidence to these girls.
That's crazy. So he noticed the difference in behavior and confidence between the artists. Women, we have a lot of insecurities when it comes to our bodies, like that extra skin, a little extra flap here and there don't look good. So if you're meant to be performing, looking all provocative and looking all sensual like a strip or whatever, and you have be confident. Of course, you're going to be performing, but you're going to be kind of self-aware. And, you know, there's certain things that I guess the BBL does get rid of. It does give you that flat stomach. It does give you the undeniable curves. It does make you feel scary and exaggerated. But yeah, I understand the confidence. I don't think you guys get like how confident a woman is when she's got a flat stomach, little bit of hip and yash. It does a lot. So I get why, you know, artist development now has to kind of include that budget for vanity, for BBLs and things like this. But we've also got, you know, beauty standards, I guess, or body image that we are putting out there, because BBL bodies, I think they're in for now and gonna go as well. And you can even see like a lot of people are now reversing their BBL. So this is a very dangerous game to play. I think surgery, unless really super duper necessary, you shouldn't even go there, because the moment that surgery, it doesn't always come out perfect, and then you just continue to pile on the number of imperfections and deform your body more and more and more until one day you wake up and you realize, my gosh, I look like a beast. Yeah, there's a lot of women that look big bones, big nyash, big everything, but then you can see the rest of their body, they're quite, it's not the right thing. Plus, also, don't forget that when you do have babies, you know, your DNA, your children are still going to inherit that. So you're basically just telling your kids that before they're even born, that they're going to eventually need surgery if they want to look good like mommy, because mommy never looked good. It means also men. Be very careful, because a lot of these women are lying to you, showing you that they've got great genes, pretty noses, pretty faces, pretty nails. You know, like, no, they're scary. When you have kids with them is when you find out really that your gene pool is fudged.
Would you rather be trapped in the forest with a bear or a man?
I think the reason why I say that that's a bunch of BS, because women be laid up with the man, as they saying, that they gonna choose the bear. How?
Yeah, like, I don't get this bear rather than being in the forest with a man. I'd rather be with a man. I have better chances of manipulating a man. I've got better chances of the man being nice and sweet to me than I do with a bear. Okay? Unless it's a panda bear, I'd be with a bear. Are you crazy?
How the hell y'all gonna choose the bear when y'all in line, thousands of you sending letters to motherfucking hardcore criminals? Ma'am, y'all sent letters, fucking spaghetti string, and because he had tattoos and he was cute, free him. Y'all sent him right?
Which bear?
Y'all sent Ted Bundy letters.
Yeah.
You sent Jeffrey Dahmer letters.
Yeah.
The bear?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They just be talking. Like, this is the problem. I think it's become so normalized these days for women to despise men to the point that you ask them, okay, men, and the first thing they do is, ew, men. Just for the fact that that's happening, I can understand why women are choosing the bear. I think it's kind of like their... most of these girls also will be the host for the men that they're talking about that they don't want to spend time in the forest with, but they will go to their houses at 5 a.m. and do nonsense. But anyways, the whole point is, I think it's just a representation of the sentiment that women have towards men in today's age. They don't like men to the point that they'd rather be with a deadly with one slap in a forest. It's just so stupid. And much like what this lady is saying, it's true as well. You're saying all of that, but you're also the same girls that start fanning over these prisoners that have got... Some people are quite tapped, you know? So really the question is it really because there's a problem with men, or is it just women are just kind of like living a bit crazy at times?
Want that. They just won't say it. Then in the comments, all these women were like, every woman doesn't want this. Like, don't. Like, I've dated a lot of women and they all say, like, this is one of their fantasies.
And you know what's weird though? Because it's like, because I feel you, right? Because you're like, oh, I said this, and like people are in the comments going crazy. But there's like millions and millions and millions and millions of people who subscribe to OnlyFans. There are millions and millions and millions of people that watch, they watch porn. So it's like, why are you acting like what I said was just so outlandish?
Why
you'll
are
watch
you
it.
acting?
You'll watch
and
it.
And it's like,
do you know what? It is acting. Talking about this to my friends the other day. Okay, so this whole idea of having. So for example, let's take it to threesomes, right? I was talking to my girls and I said to them, if I was to have a threesome, I would have it with two men. Because why would I need to have another woman there? I'm not a lesbian, right? That's so gay. I was like, how is that gay? Surely for the powerful woman, I think that her ultimate desire perhaps would be desired by many men, like the goddess, effect. I could explain this video where she's saying that a lot of women want to experience a train. Okay. And I don't think it's because a train is necessarily like a humiliation ritual. I feel more like on the sense of a desire ritual. That's the only way I can explain it, because ever being in a position, not that I want to, of course, little angel, but if I was to then be in a position where there'll be multiple people in that sexual situation, best believe I wouldn't be asking no girls to be there. Are you crazy? Yuck. I don't need another woman there. First of all, I don't like this whole competition, nonsense that people like to do sexually when they have threesomes with girls. I don't like that. Secondly, like that either. I'd rather have more than one man than have have women in there. So yeah, I get it. And also another thing that I think is quite serious these days is like a lot of people do in these podcasts or in these kind of scenarios, everyone's just like, oh, judgmental, me, I can't believe that not all women want this, not women. Listen, most women, their dirtiest desire is to be treated like it's a representation of the man's ultimate desire, and ashawo, I guess, right? So women, they want that as well. They all want to be called, oh, shut up, you bitch. They all want to be a little bit squeezed here and there. Fine. But why are you lying? Why are you hiding? Why are women still regarding sex as such a taboo when now you're so liberated and you... Not a big deal. If that's your fantasy, then at least you can explain why it is your fantasy. If you want to train around on you, why is that the case? Is it because you want to be humiliated by a lot of men and you have like maybe a sexual trauma? Or is it because you really genuinely want... I mean, I think for me it would be the latter.
Hey, have you ever been to like a sex club?
Yeah. Okay.
So people...
I have never been to a sex club. I don't even know. Common, and a lot of people have experienced it. A lot of people have done, a lot of people that I know seem to have stories about it. I think I'm the only angel that probably has not been to a sex club or even...
That go to sex clubs, they're either like rich CEOs or they have like normal jobs, business owners, whatever the case may be. And then they step out of the sex club and they step back into their role, home, whatever they're doing, with whoever they're doing it with. They step out of their home, they're pretending again. The only difference with me is I'm not pretending. What you see is what you get. Yeah. Like, I'm not pretending to be a school teacher, pre-K teacher by day.
Wait, let's just stop there for a second. Isn't it scary to think about how much like we think we know somebody, we think we know our neighbors, we think we know our teachers, we think that, we know the people that we look up to, our role models. But what we don't know late as well, a lot of the people that we've grown up looking up to as well, we've seen a lot of the skeletons in their closets and they're not good. It's a little bit sus what's been happening, you know what I mean? Like, so it's exactly true what she's saying. You think you know somebody until you find out what's happening behind closed doors. Everyone's wearing a mask and people are very, very much inclined to lie about their truth because, now the whole life and reputation is down in the gutters because, you like to dress up as a furry and get spanked in the booty. I don't know. So for those of you who don't know, here in the UK, there was a case where there was a teacher, she had big boobs, so blonde bombshell teacher, and she was on OnlyFans and supposedly making quite a lot. Anyways, then eventually the school finds out that she's on OnlyFans and they have to fire her. And it turns out that the complaint was made by a parent. Did she really deserve to be punished? Number one. But I think she probably did because she brought the school's name into disrepute. She made the school look bad because that she works in the school and sees this on OnlyFans is not a good look, right? But then it also brings to the surface the fact that there's some dirty daddies and then I start to think, but our private lives and our desires and all these things, if they do become public, if people do end up finding out, is it really fair for people to be punished for their carnal desires if they are within reason? So that's really my question, because she's really talking about some important things when it comes being true to your sexual desires, and obviously the fact that a lot of people hide and they pretend the moment that they step out of their houses. But I can understand why. Is it wrong for that to be the case? That's what I'm not sure about, because be poor role models, because I guess those are not things that are of primary concern to people in general. So really, we shouldn't really be talking about it, perhaps.
Like, I would never want this. And it's like, okay.
How come men say they want a woman with their shit together, but then when they get that, they get intimidated and leave for a lesser value woman?
Men say they want a woman that has got her shit together, strong in the. When then they do end up with that woman, as this lady says, they end up feeling intimidated, or they want to run away, or they cheat with somebody that is not as put together. Now let's find out the reason why from this video, because I've got to agree in this video.
I find that a lot of times men love the accomplishments of women until it challenges their own. And so sometimes you'll get with men who are used
a very female, centric opinion, which makes sense, but I wouldn't say that necessarily.
To leading the charge, they're used to being the most successful, and then they come across you behind the scene. But the moment you start to slide past them a little bit, the moment that it seems like you're creating more success than they have the ability to create, they become really intimidated by. Successful woman is the challenge for a certain type of men. It feeds their ego. So sometimes they just want to prove that they can get a woman like you because they're looking for the angle to break you down. This is
for that the reason why men will go for these women that are, high value women, like I guess in her perspective from what she's describing. They'll go for them is because they pose a challenge. The people always want the forbidden fruit. They want what they can't have. So a woman that is successful, that looks like she's got her shit together, that looks like, well, fair enough, I can somewhat understand that. Another point that she mentioned was the fact that they say that she said that skills, your abilities make you kind of go ahead of him. It becomes intimidating to him, and then he wants to break that down, or he has some sort of moment of weakness and wants to find someone else that makes. Fine, I think I can understand that. However, one thing that I'm kind of concerned about, and is the thing that I think most women will never speak on, perhaps if this was a man answering, he would have said, is that realistically, for you to be a woman that has her things together quite strongly, or for you to be a woman that is highly successful in all these things, you have successful without having competition. And if you do have competition, you eventually have to crush that competition. And that involves a lot of different personality traits and habits that you have as a human to employ in those to then become a successful woman. What do you think that's going to translate into when you're in a relationship? So I think one of the issues with being a very strong, powerful, successful woman is the fact that if you are somebody that can't switch off that strength, that success, that power, that I'm a boss lady, or if you can't switch that off, of course somebody's going to eventually you're acting like you're his boss. You know, he doesn't want you to be his boss, really. He wants you to be his woman. So a successful woman can be attractive and can be a challenge to begin with, but I think it's home when it's quite difficult, you see? So I just think that men that like successful women need to be aware of what comes with that. Either you like successful women and you're more successful than her, which then obviously you need to be realistic. You need to be realistic that sometimes she's going to tell you to shut up and take off that bass in your voice, that type of thing, you know? And not a lot of men are willing to deal with that. Or it's also just the default settings that successful women come with.
A game for some men. They're looking for a way to get in so they can say, oh, I got her, but let me also attempt to destroy her. Woman who I feel like I can qualify for easily because they don't want to have to do the work for somebody who is personally developed, professionally developed, financially stable. It's a mirror in their face that says, instead of doing that, I'm going to point out all of your insecurities. I'm going to break you down to your simplest form, and then I'm going to go out and find somebody that I don't have to work as hard for.
Yeah, I mean, she just confirmed everything that I was saying, or less successful than her, whatever, which is not always the case, okay? Successful women don't always just go for guys that are less than them. You know, usually as women, we want men that are above us anyways. But in this instance, I think that there's lady, okay? Boss babe is the type of woman that she's talking about, okay? Which is the type of woman that I think she's got it all together. She's the boss. She makes money. She drives a little Mercedes, gets her nails done by herself. She can afford everything. You know, the ones that say they don't need no man because they're successful on their own. Fine. Those are the ones that, in my opinion, run the risk of themselves in situations with men where they end up with their face flat on the ground because they didn't realize that your boss babe attitude is very unattractive. Okay, it may have made you money, which is fantastic, but it had to a mafia godfather's wife. You know what I mean? Like the boss lady. She's got her boss, the godfather, right? But she's the boss lady where she's people don't fuck with her. She's got everything on point. She's got money, she's got power, she's got it all. However, she's a boss lady where she understands her role within the hierarchy of the marriage, the relationship, the union, whatever. He's not going to make her think that she's above her man in any way, and he's not going to kind of interfere too much with the femininity and her role as a woman. Okay, so that's the boss lady. She's still got power, she's still point, you see? So boss babes, I think, are immature, whereas boss ladies understand the concept of power and success really well, and being always intimidating to men. Then no rich woman would ever be married, and a lot of them are married, you know? But it just depends on your training as a woman and how your success goes. Humble woman, no success is going to get in the way of your relationship. I promise you that. All right, let's see what our next video is saying. I'm enjoying
If a man came along, both make $500K a year. He's making $70K. He got a business plan. He got a vision. He's working towards that day in and day out. And you would have to look up at him on all the intangible. Does he get a chance?
No. I would rather be single. This is the thing.
Wow.
500K, he makes 70K. Would you be with him? He's a good man, but he's not making as much money as you are. The girl there that clearly I already could tell you that she would say, oh, no. Because in her mind, she already gives you off the idea that she thinks she's too successful for her own good. She thinks she's laying 10-10. You know, so she can't go for somebody that is not above and beyond her own standards, right? Expected. But let's see how this turns out for her. Let me see her just before she's even said anything. Forgive me, my sister, but you know, I'm a judgmental person. I don't know. I'm not sure about her. Let's see what she says.
Let me tell you why. I have gotten to a certain point because I've built to a certain point. I am disciplined in everything. I'm disciplined in relationship with God, in my emotions, in my mentality, in my energy, in my body, and how I eat. I am very disciplined. And so I would expect that a man is the same thing. Because when you're disciplined, whatever you do the most is what compounds in your life. Why would I not give a shot to a person that makes $70,000 a year? I could put you on. Hell, I could even hire you. Come on, let's work together. We could do all of that. But as far as my man, because this is the thing, I refuse to give into a life where I start to feel like I can't have it all. I don't believe that.
How greedy. So basically, I already knew this woman is just a nonsense lady, okay? Because the first reason why she said she would not be willing to do that is because she takes care of herself, she's healthy, she to do with the fact that she'd be making 500k. So you're basically kind of listing your personal traits and characteristics that make you a substantial human. That has nothing to do with money, and you're using that as a way to then compare yourself to a man that is not healthy, is not stable, is not responsible, is not a worthy and substantial man. That's where it goes wrong, because there are certain jobs that people do out of passion that mean that you're okay. There are people that are motivated by happiness, health, and even wealth. And wealth, again, ladies, wealth is not money. You don't need to be making 500k a year to be wealthy. If you start owning your house, if you have a couple of houses already bought, if you've got just a few investments that are nice, you don't need to be making 500k a year to be healthy. Understand the substance that makes a man, and it is not money. If he makes 70k and he works hard, you got a good man. If he makes 70k because he doesn't want to do anything, then that's a different story. But that's not what the question was. So when we don't open it up and start looking at I beg, don't piss me off.
And the gluttony, because if you already have it all, why do you need a man to give you?
Yes! Why do you need it more? Waste.
Not fully understand.
And maybe
it's not love that they want.
Maybe
it's
not. Let me finish.
Why does money have to be null and void of love?
I think it's because y'all keep going to money. Like, y'all don't.
That's the thing, and it's true. It's always about the money. Okay, cool, no problem. How many of these women actually find men with money, and they're with these men with money, and things don't go right because he's cheating? Money should never be a priority in choosing your partner. You want somebody that can bring you stability, and stability does not actually come with money. Stability comes with financial, secure and unsafe. It comes down to a man that regardless of anything that happens, he's active working. Okay, he's doing something to make sure that things are, bills for that your family can be catered for. Now, if you want to live in a mansion and you think that a mansion and a Ferrari and all these things is what's going to make your kids healthy, is what's going to make your marriage happy and successful, then you're very, very wrong. And this is the problem. But when you really think about it, the things that make marriages successful, the kind of man that women want to be with, the true Prince Charming, is not about the money, sisters. Are you crazy? Money a man's got, if he's cheating on you, feels like crap. Doesn't matter how much money the man's got. If he's not around, if he's not supportive, if he's just not honest and loyal, then what the hell is the point? What kind of women are you?
Tangibles. It's whole. It's all of it. If you're missing one, you can't rank one out on the scale of 1 to 10. In my lifestyle,
sister, then what are you doing on a podcast with all of these people that half of them don't look like they're making 500k a year? I beg, you're full of lies. And have you noticed actually, in this day and age,
high school teacher who loves the kids in his community, who's not on that money shit. He wants
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people that
a good man. He just mentioned. What about a high school teacher? Somebody. Because he genuinely is a good man, because he genuinely has a humanitarian purpose on this earth. He's there for the kids, sister, and you're telling me he's not good enough because he's not making 500k. You deserve.
My vantage point for what success looks like monetarily speaking is exponentially different than most people. I understand that. And I'm not here to wrong or shame the person that makes 70,000. That's not going to happen with me because I live in a space where I want to follow the leadership of my man. I want my man to make the decisions inside of my household. It's not about a dollar. You've got to lead the household. You can look. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but it buys you options.
Exactly. This is the question. The question I want to ask in fairness.
These people just got
hold on.
I disagree with you.
Yes. Oh, this is even what he said. These people be talking about money, and even these people that you're saying that they got money, they're making, this one that's talking about the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a subjective also like conversation when we're talking about people having money. That she's talking about 500,000 is a lot. It's not even a lot for some people, That's the thing. There are people that have $1 million a year and the management of their money is so poor. So it's not even about how much money you make. It's about who's making the money. That's the thing. Like, I'm personally not going to lie. I've always said, I don't care about the man that I end up with being rich. That's not the point. I want him to at least ambition. And that's not because they want to be rich. Ambition will be if you've got a job, if you've got a current skill, that you will eventually want to expand that to your own business, or you want to eventually automate that process so you can focus on another part of your life that is necessary. Where you have a vision for the future being greater than what it is right now because we live in progress. Fine, okay? As long as you work hard and you've got some sense in your head, anyone can actually achieve those things. You see, just because somebody is making they're doing the right thing doesn't mean that they're even smart, because you don't even know. Let's talk about how are the people making money. What kind of business is it? A business that can be long lasting? Is it a business that came out a lot of people that made a lot of money during the pandemic? You see what I mean? So there's so many nuances, and every time we talk about, and this is the problem with women as well, every time we're talking about partnerships, it's always down to money. Then bruh, like, you don't deserve to find anybody. Because when it comes down to it doesn't matter how much money you got in your pocket. If you've got a shitty partner, you're going to feel it. Why do you think a lot of these women are married to all these rich men and they're not talking about being lonely? Look at what's her stupid face? Aisha Curry. Look at that. Look at her. She's talking about how she's unfulfilled and how much money does her man make. And in fact, that one there, she's such a waste girl that she's got a man that makes money, a man that looks like he's a good dad and a good husband too. And she's still complaining. So all I got to say is, lads, don't listen to the ladies. Any woman that's talking about her being unhappy with her blessings like Aisha Curry, stay away from her. Any woman that is continuously talking about money and how much money is so important in the relationship, stay away from that. Because those are people that prefer superficial things, Those are people that are materialistic, that are opportunistic, that are consumerists. You don't want those people around you because they are not happy with substantial things like love, like safety, like trust, and all these things. They think that their love is shown in things. It's a really big problem. It's happening more and more each day. It's so sad. Shut up. What do you know? What do you know? I wonder if you even got a man.
I feel like, when are we going to start acknowledging you knew?
There she goes again. Talk, sister. Because I'm coming for you now. You pissed me off. I can't lie.
You didn't want to get pregnant. He knew he didn't want to get you pregnant. Y'all were both not taking accountability for the actions that you were taking in the bedroom. And now you birthed the baby. It's not fair for men for us to be like, well, he's not taking accountability in this situation, because I believe, and y'all can crucify me if you want to, it is up to a woman if she gets pregnant or not.
Let me give you an example.
It is our responsibility. Okay.
She's saying something that makes a bit more sense. So it shows me that she's not just fully like on, that delusional female perspective that we usually encounter. This is all right.
To take care of that.
Let me give you an example.
1,000%. It's my body, my choice. Why is that only when it's convenient?
She's a bit jarring. She talks a bit too much.
I think the man's responsibility is on the front end, right? Yo, you slid in raw. Right. That's number one.
But why are we letting a man slide in raw? It's my responsibility.
Number two, you shot up the club.
Why are you letting a man shoot up your club? That's my responsibility.
But you have a lot of women who are having sex that say they both had the option to choose to have sex that wasn't protected. A lot of women don't know that a man is going to shoot up the club. A lot of women don't even want to have a baby.
Oh, don't give me these stupid excuses. Don't piss me off. How are you telling me that a woman will have the option. They both agree that they're going to have sexual intercourse without protection, without a condom, and this usually is also not on contraception. And then you say, but she didn't know that he was going to shoot up the club. Bro, it's entered in with no protection. Anything happens from there. That's it. Anything. That's basically, you just said, Jesus, take the wheel, and you just hope for the best. Both of you. Okay, so yeah, it's a responsibility on both, but I agree with what the other sister was saying. You allowed a man to go in. We have access. We are the gatekeepers of sex, okay? We are the ones that say, yes, you may enter. No, you may not. So you've allowed him to enter. Not only did you not allow him to enter, you allowed him to enter without a cloak. And then he starts, shooting up the place. Really, whose fault is that? Why did you let him go there in the first place? Yes, it takes two to tango, but more responsibility should also be kind of put on the person that has the responsibility to open the gates. Do you see what I mean? So if you're the gatekeeper, how are you going to complain that somebody else opened the gate? You opened the gate. You let them in. So you first, right? Or am I wrong? Let's see what they have to say. Hold on.
And men do that to trap them. Right. So to say that it completely exonerates the man and put that decision solely on the woman, that's a lack of accountability, because both parties have to be held accountable. We both made a decision, right? We both made a decision. We both to have a baby. But if you have sex, then you assume that a baby is going to happen, because you're only supposed to have sex for the procreation of a baby.
Y'all may think that it's a 50-50 deal, but what if every woman were to start to take the responsibility of her own body? What if a woman, instead of going home and sleep with, we live in such a hookup culture, and it is creating death, disease, and children that we don't want. It is creating so much resentment and self-hate and low self-worth, and now we want to do all these things in our life, and we already know, because we as women are the custodial parent, which means we have the children more often than the man does. And if all you're doing is harboring resentment and negativity and how unhappy you are and all of these things, and now you're trying to raise a child, and then that father is a reflection of all the places that you feel like you failed, all the things that you feel like you now no longer get to have, all the relationships that you would have been able to get, but now people are looking at you a little bit different because you're a single mom and you act better when that man comes around. I'm just saying, Ace, that if that's the case, but that's the problem. We got to take responsibility for our bodies.
Come on. Okay, she ate there. She ate. I'm very much, I'm like, I think it's because I've had to be held accountable for my actions, for my mistakes in the past, right? That's now been it's like a habit that's been drummed into my being, into my spirit, right? So I love it when women are willing to kind of admit that there's a responsibility and accountability to take for our own decisions, okay? You cannot tell me that you've had sex with a man that, first of all, he doesn't want to have children with you. He's not even your man, okay? There's no commitment. There's no signs of a commitment. It's just fully, sex. That's it. Friends with benefits at most, if that, but a hookup, right? You're telling me that you've put yourself in that position. Not only have you put yourself in that position with somebody that is not worthy of you being in a relationship with, let alone have a child with, you've allowed them to enter you without protection, okay? And then through that situation, you end up pregnant. Really, whose fault is it? I'm not going to say, I feel sorry for the sister that she ended up in that situation, but that's your fault. How are you putting yourself at risk with a man that you wouldn't even have kids with? One thing that I would say for sure, as a woman, you should never be having sex with somebody that you couldn't justify having a baby with. So for example, let him at least have supreme genes. Okay, because then if you actually do get pregnant and you don't want it, at least you can justify the fact that this person's got mad genes. Or let him be super rich, because then at least you get something outside of it, okay? But don't let it just be some bum. How are women letting bums between their legs without protection? And then end up with kids and then expect a bum to do something that bums don't do, and go and raise a child with you and be a responsible parent when you knew from the beginning that was not the case, but you still allowed him to go in raw. Like, that's stupid of you as a lady. As much as I want to protect sisters and I want to obviously take men, make them be more responsible, more sexually aware and disciplined, but the sisters as well, like, we as the party that is supposedly also more sexually disciplined, how are we allowing these things to happen? How are we not filtering through the people that gain access to our very private internal parts? It makes no sense. So yeah, I definitely think that if if you got pregnant and the man does not want the baby, you have two choices. Either you're going to have to raise the child alone, or you're going to have to do the A word. If you're going to raise the child alone, your only option will be to either co-parent with him, try and make it happen, or just be smart. And if you think that he's a bum and you cannot do anything with this guy, go to court, take full custody of the child, and get just the parental support that by law you're entitled to. But let's not complicate things and force people to do things that they never wanted to do in the beginning to begin with. Okay? Let's not force men to be fathers when they told you or give you full indication that they do not want to be a father. Let's not force bums that you got close to and got personal and intimate with. Let's not make those bums be fathers if they don't want to. That's a you problem. You decide to grow the child within, you decide to birth the child. Now it's here. You take care of it because that's your job as the mom. And if you don't like it, you remember now for that child, educate them properly to let them know. Do not just let any bum between your legs. Okay, this is obviously not a blanket statement for every single woman that is a single mother and gets pregnant by accident. There's different scenarios and contexts and nuances. I get it. But in general, if you're getting pregnant by somebody as a lady, unless it's through criminal activity, trust me, you should have done a lot better to safeguard your nanny. Trust me, trust me. Let's see what the next video be saying.
What would be the best advice you would give to a man that's dating a hyper-independent woman?
For me...
Oh, before he says anything, let's see if he says the same thing as me. Best advice for a man that is dating a hyper-independent woman. Bro, first and foremost, leave her to her devices. Don't bother her too much because that is just room for conflict. Secondly, make sure you got your shit together because as independent as she is, you need to be a more kind of powerful in your independence than she is. You need to be more powerful as a provider than she is, because if she's super duper independent, then you need to show that there's a purpose for your role there. You need to be there for a reason. You know what I'm saying? You can't be coming into a relationship with a hyper independent woman and expect to depend on her or expect to be kind of like, you know, failing in some bits, you know, just cruising and coasting in other areas of life. She'll clock everything because she'll reflect the standards on you. So make sure if you want to be with a super hyper independent baddie, be super hyper independent bad yourself. You know what I'm saying? But even more than she is, so she cannot even contest it or ever challenge you.
Leave her. Like, think about it in reverse.
Leave her? What a bitch. Like, do you have a vagina between your legs, sir? Leave her. Since when?
First, ladies, if you had a hyper-dependent man, would that turn you on? Probably not as a woman, because you're looking for a leader and all those things. Well, as a man, I'm not looking for a hyper-independent woman. I need to feel needed. I'm sorry. So if you don't need me, you got to leave me.
Make yourself needed. That's the thing. It's very easy to make someone feel like they need you. As a woman, we find very wonderful ways of doing that ourselves. Even if you can cook as a man, do you really think that if I want to make you feel like you need me, do you really think I'm going to let you cook? No, I'm going to cook. Not only am I going to cook, I'm going to cook sweeter food than your food so that you start to think, oh, but her food is nicer. Realistically, I would like her to cook more. And then eventually that I would like her to cook more becomes a need that you have because she's replaced yours. Do you know what I'm saying? So you can always make yourself be needed, especially as a man. How many other women have got penises? Trust me, women love that. So that makes you feel needed. So make sure that you do the thing in the bedroom, right? Make sure that you have a personality that she cannot get elsewhere so that she feels need for your presence, right? Be hyper skilled in things that she cannot even think of. Be super strong. Educate yourself, you know? Maybe take that as a challenge for you to become bigger, badder, and better. Duh, the fudge.
I hear you, SD, saying leave, and that's cool. That's you. I respect that. But there are some men who are willing to say, you know what? I see past that. I see past that hard shell and that hard exterior. If you don't have the capacity, go on about your business.
Hey, if you don't have the capacity, go about your business. That's right.
Do have the capacity. The one thing that we lack in this narcissistic, selfish society is grace. It is lacking. You ain't perfect neither.
Yeah.
And if we really want to talk about it, y'all talk about hyper independence in a woman, but what about dependence in a man who's been enabled by his mama for so long, and we give compassion and we stay there?
Can you imagine?
That's why I don't like this side of the conversation, because what we do as women is give a lot more grace to men than what we get, when a lot of time the burden is placed on us.
Actually, I don't know.
We are constantly navigating spaces. We constantly hear what society tells us that we have to do. We constantly have to deal with our siblings and our children and our parents, because a lot of times when our parents and stuff get sick, it's not the boys that they go to, it's the girls that they go to. And so we have all of this weight and all of this burden that we carry on us, and we constantly have to be reinforced with these beliefs that we have to be strong and we have to take care of everything. So yes, for a moment, y'all can show up and at least see past that exterior, and at least try to see beyond what y'all see outside, to look and say, dang, okay, I do want to love her beyond how I just see this in this moment.
She ate. That's right. She ate. What do you mean? Who are you looking at? Like, bro, are you mad? The woman that is hyper independent, do you think that that's because she's a bitch or because she's bad? No, a lot of the time life made her that way. So if you have a woman that can survive, a woman that is a warrior, not only because she survived, but because she can survive, thrive, and be responsible for so many things at the same time, you got yourself there a sick woman, okay? This is a woman that will not crumble and fall apart with motherhood, which a lot of women do, you see? This is not a woman that is going to crumble and fall apart when there's challenges in life, you know? It's just, life is like that, you know? He loves to give you surprises, not always good ones. Sometimes they're really bad ones that require a warrior, a woman with some strong resolve to be able to make it through that. But you just want to be like, I want a woman that depends on me. I beg, like, you men are so stupid. Having a woman that is strong as well will also help you. Don't think that men also don't have moments where they fall. Don't think that men don't have moments where depression also kicks in and they're not able to stay at top of their game. Give yourself some grace, as she said, yeah? And understand that you also need a woman's support. And so if she has some level of independence, you're more likely to be better off than you being with a woman that is fully dependent, doesn't know what else to do with her life. In fact, those women are the ones that get boring because all they can do is stay at home and not do much at all. So yes, a hyper-independent woman is one that was made like that by default of the circumstances of her life. Stop being a hater, yeah? How about you see beyond that hard exterior and see the beauty, the QE, the princess that's hiding behind these big walls that she had to put up to protect herself from life? Are you stupid? What kind of men are these? What happened to the men that wanted to save the damsel in distress? Do you think that Cinderella was not a hyper-independent baddie? Her stepmother didn't like her. Her stepmother didn't treat her good. She had to become hyper-independent, still living as a little slave, and still got a Prince Charming. Come on. These boys, they're so weak. Men, and I think that's the thing with men. Men these days are a lot weaker than, you know, the men that they describe themselves to be, or the men of the past. Okay, I do understand that the men of the past had their misogynistic, you know, flaws, I suppose. But the men of today, they have the same flaws, but they don't even have the work ethic, the self-respect, and the values that those men had. Do you understand? This is why a lot more people married then than they are now. You want to complain that it's the women that are not doing whatever, but it's the men that are not even ready to marry, because it's the man that makes the choice to marry. So if men are not getting married, if people are not getting married, we're going to put that onto the responsibility of the gatekeeper of marriage, which in this case is the man. He's the one that gets down on one knee. He's the one that that asks the question, that makes the proposal. So yeah, you know, men these days are just weak. What do you mean you want a woman to depend on you? I beg, make yourself dependable. How about that? Nonsense. Don't piss me off. Don't make me go misandrist on your ass.
Because I wasn't afraid to get on here and say my BBL smelled like dumpster juice and y'all don't make me the villain.
This is the ongoing fascinating saga of a woman whose BBL stank.
So in part one, I was telling y'all how my sit-down air was stinking real bad.
Sit-down air was stinking real bad.
And it got to the point to where I had to carry around a bottle of air freshener or a bottle of perfume.
So how could a BBL cause somebody's sit-down air to stink really badly?
You know what the sit-down air is when you're sitting down and you get that waft like... you know, where your nyash lands and it goes like, poof. So imagine that sit down air where you sit down in the poof, the cloud of smell is dumpster coming from your BBL. Jesus, scary stuff.
Well, there are a number of possible causes. Obviously, cleanliness and hygiene may have something to do with it, especially if you've had a BBL and things are down there. But also could be due to medical conditions. Let's hear a little bit more from her.
When I say that BBL really ruined my life, I even lost my boyfriend behind it. He was telling down there and I can't stomach it. It was the truth. It got to the point to where when I would get my laundry out of the dryer, it would still smell like that rat eating flesh.
Now, if you've ever...
Ooh. So basically, this is what I'm saying, okay? So imagine you have, because basically this is what a BBL is. You get cut up, and then, you know, things get moved around inside, you know, certain things get severed. So basically what you have is a gash, yeah? So a wound. And that wound is then stitched up and all these things, and then you're sent home a few days later with that wound not cured yet. Because remember, if you have a cut on your hand, it'll take you at least 1 to 2 weeks for that cut to be done. And that's a minimal cut. Now imagine on your nyash, a big cut. Do you know how long it will take to heal? Not only that, as it heals, do you understand how much pus or even infection in the process of that healing? Yuck. And these are massive traumas. These are massive wounds that these women go through to be able to get a BBL. So of course it's going to stink after a while. Are you crazy? Especially if you're post-op care. If you're not draining out the pus.
Worked in healthcare, you know that the thing that smells the absolute worst, worse than anything, is...
It's like smelling rotten rotten flesh.
Rotten flesh.
No.
This is worse than the smell of somebody just not cleaning back there, and that's how she's describing this. But unfortunately, the people who watched her video did not like her explanation, and see what happened afterwards.
I have a lot of women angry with me.
Of course.
They are reporting me.
Although some people may have a hard time cleaning back there when their behind is so much larger, it doesn't sound like that's the case with her.
No.
Fat necrosis, where the fat dies, is a known complication of BBL surgery. And if that smell badly and actually drain.
Oh,
The only people who know what happened are the patient and her surgeon, so let's give her the final word.
I got my BBL surgically removed because my sit-down one was stinking. You hear me? And it's not coming from the vagina or the beehole. It's coming from the incisions that they cut to inject the fluid and the fat in your butt. Okay?
Mad thing. God. But that's what I'm saying. You see, with BBLs, yes, I do understand why women get in the vanity and all this sort of stuff. But I think that the main problem with BBLs for me is the lack of true information about BBLs and what happens when you get one. You see, and what happens afterwards. So I think for women, let me break this down. From my perspective, from my understanding of women and from the people that I've met that do have BBLs or have considered BBLs, let me kind of break it down. The reasons why people get the BBLs, and then the reality checks that they don't consider until the BBL has already been done and there's no way of turning it back, right? So reason why people get BBLs. So first of all is body insecurities, okay? So women that want to lose weight, but they can't lose weight and they want a more curvaceous body, what do? They go get lipo and then inject the fat into the nyash, okay? So it's another way of women slimming down, okay? So bigger women want to have more curvaceous body, look good. Fine. Another one is this flat stomach. Another one is skinny women that want a bigger nyash. But mostly, the whole reason why women want BBLs is because they want more sexual gratification. What I mean by that is not sexual gratification where they have to actually do the deed. It's more sexual gratification in the sense that they want the attention. They want to know there and then. They need to know, validate, and certify that men fancy them. That men would want to F them. That's basically what it is. Women want BBL so they can be sexy to men, and in their heads know that it is undeniable that a man would want to bang me because this body is the most bangable and desired and fetishized body in current times. Cool. That's what they do. Now, guess what the problem is? When you get the BBL, it's the same as like anything. You know, sometimes you get bad ideas, you go through them, and you don't realize the consequences of your choices until after. Number one, you're going to be over-sexualized. Now, you as a woman, you may want sexual attention, but you don't know what it means to have only sexual attention. Where it gets to a point where you as a woman no longer are looked at as almost like a respectable being. You're just looked at as a sex object. Don't nobody want that. You know, so even if you're kind of like in the future trying to do business, if you're trying to grow your career, whatever, best believe that's going to be tainted by your over-sexualized image. So that's going to be frustrating as it is. And then secondly, it's the post-op. Oh my God. No, there's the fact that there's fat necrosis, is that what you called it, right? Where the incisions where the cuts were made and where the stuff is injected, when that gets infected. And sometimes it doesn't even need to get infected, even just in the process of healing, that will happen. And guess what the problem is with healing, especially with big wounds like that, you know, quite deep traumas. Period of healing could take even up to a year or more. Especially because these are areas of movement. So even as you walk, as you sit down, you're also, you know, prolonging the process. So how disgusting is this? And you know what the worst thing is? And one thing that I've discovered about women is that you being a woman does not automatically mean that you're hygienically responsible. Okay? AKA, it does not mean that you are clean, fresh, you know? It does not mean that you take care of yourself very well. The same way that you've got men that are filthy and BBLs. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be that guy and I don't want to judge, but by looking at your toenails, by looking at the way that you handle yourself, your makeup, how dirty your white clothes are, by looking at just how filthy you look, I cannot imagine you being hygienic enough to take care of a BBL post-operation. Meaning that a lot of the time, these are even self-inflicted situations because people don't have good care for themselves. There's no hygiene. There's just... Bruh, I don't even know. I don't want to cuss the girls, but these BBL conversations, it disgusts me, I swear. Just this video alone. And you know what the worst experiencing this, but they'll never talk. God forbid they'll open their mouths to say, I made a mistake and I picked something that is now making me stink like a dead body. Do you understand? They will never be honest about that. They will never tell you that this is what's happened. They'll just say, I'm the most confident that I've ever been. I feel leng. My life has changed. I've just got so many opportunities. No, you've just been over-sexualized. More men are interested in banging you, but nobody's trying to wifey you because a BBL is a red flag in itself anyways. And... yeah, I don't know. This stuff just disgusts me. I'm so sorry. Let's see what else this lady's got to say. But you see, the backlash is because women want to hide the dirty secrets of the BBL, you know? And you know what's the worst part is that it's the men that have to deal with it. It's God forbid a man tells the girl, by the way, I think I've got a funny smell coming from your BBL. Bless his heart. He might as well just, I don't know, might as well just kill her whole family and wait for her revenge, innit?
There's people in the comments saying, oh, you wasn't washing up right. Come on, let's be real. It's coming out of the incision. It fucking stink. I don't care what y'all say. It stink. And if it's not healing properly and your body is rejecting it, the hole will remain open and the drainage will continue to come out and stink up your linen, stink up your underwear, stink up everything, okay?
That's the kind of smell that stains, you know? What I mean by that is the smell that stains, the smell that does not go. You know, sometimes when you got people that they wear shirts and they've got BO, no matter how many times you wash that BO, no matter how much vodka or whatever these funny like hacks you find on YouTube, that smell will never leave the clothes. That's the same thing as this smell. Your fat necrosis is going to be stained onto your clothing, onto your... Bruh, just burn them. Just burn them.
If you're cleaning regularly and healing properly, your BBL should not stink. But if you have a complication like it sounds like she did, then I guess it could.
Received him.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is the fact that obviously most girls say, we didn't have no complications with my BBL, but who wants to admit that they... Big up to this lady. the BBL stunk, like really bad, and she did 3 or 4 videos about it, and she fought against the comments, because it takes a lot for you to do that. And I think it's really important. I wish that more women would come out to warn other women about BBL and how it will actually change your life forever. And I don't even know what the cure is, because even if you do reverse the BBL and you drain it all out and all these sort of things, you've just caused yourself a new trauma, a new kind of thing to heal. So who knows if that's also not going to continue to smell. Like, are you going to eventually have to have like your ass cheeks taken off or something? Like, I don't know. But anyway, let's go on to the next video. On a Monday afternoon.
$10 million or your nigga receive 100 million?
Receive 10 million. My man receive 100 million because he gonna give me some. Yes. What you mean?
That's that nigga like that. What you think?
Give me my 10. That's that. Yeah. How much for nigga? 100, but okay. He probably lying tell you he got 2, if even a million. Right? Yeah. Give me my money.
You as my best man.
So question is, you get 10 million or your man gets 100 million? Friend, give my man 100 million. 10 million is only 10% of 100 million. I'm sure he wouldn't mind keeping 90% and even just giving me 10 because I made the choice of him getting the money. If you, as a lady, do not see that 100 million for your man as the most logical answer, then you really need to look within yourself and understand whether or not you should even be in a relationship. Because what is the point in you being committed and openly saying that you are in a relationship with somebody, but you don't trust them to that level? Then why are you in a relationship? That's the thing. You don't trust the person that you're with. You don't trust their character. You don't trust that if they had 100 million that you decided for them to get, they wouldn't give you anything and take care of you. How lowly do you think of yourself that you wouldn't even take the gamble on your partner loving you that much? Do you not believe that you're worthy of love? Or you're just in a relationship with some waste man, a joke man, that you're just in it for the good times but not for a long time? Is that what it is? Because then that answer of give me the 10 mil, that just shows me that you're not serious, you're not ready, and whatever relationship you're in is very hollow. Another thing that also struck me on that video is how the Butters friend, the one in green, changed the other one's mind. The other one made the right decision. She said, yeah, my man will give me 10 million from 100 mil. Give it to him. And she's like, what do you mean? I can't trust him to give me 10 million out of 100. Give me my 10 million. And then the other was like, oh yeah, that's true. That's fine. Give me 10 million. See what happens when you have bad friends? Bad friends will make you make bad choices. They'll make you question what's right, what you know is right, and make you go for the wrong thing. Do not have friends like this, you know. These are haters. These are the friends that'll see you in a happy relationship and try and kind of butt in and add little comments here and there to make you feel like your relationship is not as secure as you know it is. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of the times this comes down to an envious feeling because they wish that they were the ones that were happy. They wish that they were the ones that were loved. It's kind of sad because obviously it comes from a very, very unhappy place, but nonetheless it's very dangerous. So ladies, if you have a friend like her, stay away. There's no point. Just phase her out nice and slowly because, you know, nobody wants drama, but we also don't want that kind of people around us. So this video, what does it say? My best man backed out of my bachelor trip moment. The moment I said Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Brazil. Oh, okay.
You're telling me I'm not going. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not going.
He's not going.
You're not going to my bachelor party. Man, your top 3 is Colombia, Brazil, and DR? What? Man, listen, I'm not going. That's it. Crazy. You're my best man. You're not going to come out because you're married? As your best man, I'm looking out for crazy. I have your best interest. That's why you made me your best man. I'm a grown man. You don't have to have my best interest. But I'm your best man, though. That means that you put me in a position to have your best interest. Yeah, if you're my best man, you're supposed to be the one that's supposed to get everything intact for the bachelor party, for the wedding. I'm going to get everything intact at another place. We ain't going to none of those. Bro, you're not the one that's getting married, though. I don't care. Pick something else. You can't tell me that. I'm the one that's paying for the wedding. Okay. I'm the one that's getting married. Okay. You're making it about you, bro. You're making it about you. You're not the only one in the wedding. I'm the best man. That means that I'm the second most important person there. Okay. Are you the one that's getting married? Yes.
Do you want nice things? So that's a big red flag on the guy that is getting married. What do you mean? You're upset that your married best man, okay? So the man that has that has the best intentions at heart for you, yeah, who is also married, He's saying that he does not want to do a bachelor? Hen do is for girls. Is it bachelor party? Is that for the men? Yeah. He does not want to do your bachelor party in Colombia, the Dominican Republic, or Brazil. We obviously know why, because the things there's two things. This is the thing about these countries, and this is what people don't understand. It's not just about the women being attractive, It's about the behavior of said women. In these places, you know that having somebody that is an American or British, European, whatever, right? For these women, these men are like gold. So you don't have to even make a move on a thing. They'll make a move on you. If anything, they'll even sexually harass you to get into your pants because they really want to have that moment with somebody that could potentially change their lives completely. Okay? Let us not forget. So you have what we call leng 10-10s, las mamacitas, who are in desperate need of, a better life. Of course, you shouldn't be going to Brazil, Colombia, Dominican Republic for your bloody bachelor party. Are you crazy? What, you're trying to ruin your marriage before it even starts? And then not only that, drag your best man down with you. He's a good brother. He's got your best intentions at heart. You should listen to him. Keep him. He's a good friend. Because going to Colombia, Brazil, and Dominican Republic for your bachelor party where you're meant to get drunk, get wild, and it's the last day before I get married. Bro, you're going to leave with at least 10 new baby mothers. You don't want that. I'm telling you. This is what the women are up to in these countries. They know what they need to do to secure the bag from all these men that have got the possibility of giving them better lives because they're dealing with dollars, pounds, and euros. Think about it. Your friend is actually a really good friend. You're stupid if you're still complaining with him. And if anything, I hope that your fiance saw this and, questioned her decision to be with you. I'm joking. This, happy, I love. I hope you guys got married and I hope you had your bachelor party somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
You want the best? There is only 4 ways to get rich, kid. 4. That's it. And it is a universal truth.
4 ways
Doesn't
of getting
matter
rich.
Where you live.
Let's see.
Man or
we
woman.
choose number 1.
It is as true today as it was 1,000 fucking years ago. 1. Inherited. That ain't happening for you.
Yes, so obviously if you come from a rich family, if somebody left money for you, okay, that's one way to get rich.
2. You steal it.
Oh, or being a thief. So you can either inherit it or you can take it.
You do not have, my friend, the patience, the power, or quite honestly, the intellect to steal anything of substance and keep it. So, 3. Work really, really fucking hard.
Ugh.
You learn.
Work really, really hard. I mean, it is good. Hard work always pays off, but nonetheless, it's still hard work. I hope that she says work smart eventually. But it's true. If you work really hard, you do learn. You fail, but you get back up and you build a resilience and you build that endurance for success, I guess. So you keep working hard. You keep, battering at that wall until you strike gold. Fair enough. Let's see the 4th way.
Fail. Learn more. Fail more. And don't let anyone outwork you. Ever.
Number 4.
What's option 4? Learn how to suck a dick like you washed your car keys in it.
I knew it was going to be that. So there's only 4 ways of you getting rich. 1, you inherit it. 2, you steal. 3, you work really hard. And 4, you suck D. Well, number 4 is really, really becoming popular these days. OnlyFans, you sucking your way to the top. It's actually the most normal thing nowadays. That's why. Why do you think most women start making money or start acting like they're successful or just flaunting any sort of materialism the moment they get a BBL? Because the BBL is the quickest visual way to say, I want to suck D for success. You see, why do you think OnlyFans is so popular? Why do you think there's so many women going on to OnlyFans? Because they know sucking a D is a very profitable way of, finding your success, I guess, right? For me, though, I have to say, the only way that I want to be able to make money is going to be a mixture of working really hard and perhaps like stealing a little bit, But stealing, not necessarily like a thief, but more like a Robin Hood. And no, Robin Hood was not a thief, okay? He just set things right and he took advantage of the rich, the same way the rich take advantage of the poor, all right?
Is that how you got rich?
Good question.
My name is Claire and I'm a detransitioner. A week after I turned 14 years old, I was put on testosterone by Dr. May Lau at Cook Children's Hospital in Dallas, Texas. 6 months later, Dr. Alan Doolin with the American Institute for Plastic Surgery in Plano performed a double mastectomy on me. I was too young to get a tattoo. I was too young to drive. I hadn't even learned algebra in high school yet.
Wow.
But I was old enough to choose to have healthy parts of my body electively amputated. I was sold a product, medical transition, by professionals and institutions who told me that it would fix my distress and save my life. I was told that if I didn't do this, I would probably end up dead. But here's what they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me that taking cross-sex hormones and undergoing major surgery at 14 years old could leave me with pelvic floor dysfunction and urinary incontinence. Problems I have to manage now as a young adult. I'm only 20 years old.
Oh no.
They didn't tell me that these complications are common enough to be known risks. And yet, they were hidden from me at an age where I didn't even understand what these terms meant.
Whoa. Okay. This is what I'm saying. Okay. So this is the thing. I fully understand that body dysmorphia is a real mental disorder. I get it. I fully understand that there's a lot of people that are battling mental health issues. These conditions to do with their gender identity and all these sort of things. However, this is very right what she said. At the age of 14, you cannot drive. You are not legally allowed to have a tattoo, drink, and just do the basic things that we as adults can do. You're not allowed to do all of these things. However, you are allowed, or you have the power to make a decision that is life-changing and irreversible, such as sex transition. Literally surgical transition, where you cut off your parts, where you go through the process of taking the medication, where you really do irreversible damage to your body. And she was just 14. And this is very true what she said. She was sold a product. Okay, not a solution to her problem, not a solution to her issues, not a solution to what was making her suffer. She was offered a product, and the product was the sexual transition, surgical transition. Okay, that was the product. And let's talk about why that is a product. That is a product because for that to happen, first of all, the surgery is extremely expensive. Okay, it's probably close to the hundreds of thousands, above 50,000 at least. But yes, so you can imagine 50K a pop. Let's say, and that's the minimum, because I know it's definitely way above that. Of course, that is a very, very valuable product. Of course, you'd want that to be something that the state will fund. Of course, that is something that you want people to kind of elect a lot more. Of course, you'd want them to go through this because it's profitable. With this comes various things. Not only comes the medical professionals that have to carry out the surgery, obviously as well the hospitals that have to house the patients, the pharmaceutical companies that provide not only the anesthesias but also the post-operation drugs, as well as the transition hormones and all these sort of things. So think about this. There's just within one person's gender issues, I guess, or body dysmorphia, or gender dysmorphia, I don't know what the actual term would be. Just behind that one person is at least another 3 to 4 industries that will benefit from you making a decision that is irreversible like this. She had a double mastectomy. That means she cut off both boobs. She started taking hormones, and now she can't take it back. And she was just 14. And not only that, as a result, the side effects that came after that decision were things that they know is common, that these things happen, like the incontinence and pelvic floor misalignments and things like this. They know this is something that happens, but they didn't warn her. So it's basically they tell you that they got a solution, but they don't tell you the possible risks and side effects of such solution. They're just saying, if you don't want to be a girl anymore, if you don't want to be a boy anymore, tomorrow we'll fix that for you. No, you didn't fix it. You just made it worse. You created a new problem on top of another problem. This is really sad. And she's just 20, having to speak out like this, having to deal with the consequences of a choice that she made that she was in no position to make. We already know that people get tattoos and they regret it in adulthood, and you cannot get a tattoo up until you're 18. Let alone a child that is 14 making such heavy decisions. This is extremely alarming, and kind of what scares me the most is the fact that when you then do speak out about it, when you're kind of applying logic to debate these sort of topics, people become extremely emotional and act like you are the problem when you're trying to safeguard children from making irreversible mistakes. No, this is really is scary, and it's so sad. Just, you know, I can't imagine a 14-year-old going through something like this and then regretting it after. Think about it. And this is then what kind of, you know, would add to bigger problems in society when it comes to, you know, mental health, suicides, and things like this. This is very scary. Bless them.
Let alone the impact they would have on my daily life. And it doesn't stop there. When I tried to warn others by leaving honest reviews on my surgeon's websites, describing my regret, the complications, the lack of real informed consent, my reviews were deleted. Think about that. A surgeon permanently altered my healthy body when I was a middle school student, and then erased my negative feedback to protect his reputation.
Mad.
If that doesn't sound like fraud, I don't know what does. In any other context, selling a medical product in this way, with half-truths and hidden side effects, would be considered fraud. If a pharmaceutical company pushed a drug on children without disclosing the lifelong damage it can cause, they would be sued out of existence.
Yes,
if a cosmetic surgeon buried evidence of complications, they would be shut down. But when it comes to gender medicine, it's not just allowed, it's celebrated. And anyone who asks questions is called hateful. Every week, I hear from more young men and women like me, people who were convinced as kids or as teenagers that the only way to survive was to become a lifelong medical patient.
Mad.
We now live with the irreversible consequences, the scars, the side effects, the pain, and the grief. And we watch helplessly as the same professionals and clinics keep selling
Oh, no.
the same product to the next generation of vulnerable kids while silencing those of us who speak out.
I'm someone.
Can you imagine? And this is the saddest part as well, that not even your parents, who are your legal guardians, can save you in this situation, because it then becomes between you as the child, as the youth, as the minor, and the medical professionals, where if your parents do try to intervene and prevent this change, this irreversible change from happening, they are now basically criminals. They're perpetrators of somebody's free will to be who they believe they were born to be, which is not really what they were biologically born as, which is really scary. You know, I think that at some point we're going to have to actually address the elephant in the room, which is to understand really what traumatic experience did some of these people go through that made them actually despise their own bodies so much. Okay, now the reason why I talk about a traumatic experience is because I know that, for example, when I was younger, people told me that my hair was wild. People told me my hair was difficult. So what did I do? I started straightening it. I started denying my own image, my own hair. I started to despise my hair in its natural form, not because there was something wrong with it, but because of how people reacted to it. You see? So I feel like a lot of the time with some of these young people that are just 14 and they really, you know, they regret, they don't identify themselves as women, or they want to change their body, whatever it is, right? Usually you find that these people have gone through something really difficult. They've gone through some sort of trauma, bullying, whatever, abuse, I don't know. But before we then bring these solutions into play in terms of like the medical kind of the surgeries and the medical solutions, we need to first go into the psychological side of things. Now, the main scary thing about the psychological aspect of things is that even the psychologists are in on this. They're all working within or under the same umbrella, under the same system, because I do not understand how you as a psychologist can have a child that says at the age of 14, I don't feel like I was born in the right body, and you think, oh yeah, you're right. No, what right body? How do you know this is the right or the wrong body? This is your body, my G. That's all it is. So we now need to go back into your past to try and figure out what has caused you to feel this way. But they don't want to find that truth. They just want to patch up the problem and get a little bit more money under their wings, I guess. I don't know. This is really quite a disturbing topic. It upsets me a lot. every time I see young people talking about this experience, how they went through the operations and through the, the hormonal transition at such a young age, and then they reach 18, 19, 20, and they're crying, saying, I wish I could go back. It makes me almost want to cry with them, because I know the person that I was at 14, and I know how my life changed, how my mentality changed, how I felt about myself changed by the time I reached 18, by the time I was able to see the world beyond my school and the little environment I was confined to, because I'm a kid. I have no other choice. The moment you reach 18 and you're able to see the bigger world, you then understand that the context of how you were feeling is all based on the fact that you were a kid and you didn't have autonomy over yourself. You see? So it's really sad. I think that at least create a limitation where only up until the age of, you can only make that decision from the age of 18 once you're considered a legal adult. It doesn't make any sense. And I guess perhaps the reason why they're doing it with young people right now is because they want to intercept puberty before it even starts. But bro, let puberty hit and see if that doesn't change the way they feel. And if it doesn't, let them be 18, 19, 20 before they make these decisions. Because as far as I'm concerned, I know a lot of transsexuals that transitioned only when they were much older, and it did not change their ability to appropriate the image that they wanted. You see what I mean? So puberty has nothing to do with it. The only thing that puberty has to do with this topic is the fact that you're much more agreeable at that age, so it's easier to convince you to do things than it would be when you're older. And there's financial benefit in that for these industries that are providing these services and these drugs. And for me, quite frankly, that's disgusting.
Here. No, get over here now.
Oh God.
Get over here. Get over here. Get over here.
If you've never been in a position where this boy is in, bro, you'll never understand those cries that when you're truly fearful for your lives, because you know your mom's about to unleash the biggest ass whipping on you for whatever reason. This happened to me one time because I stole €1 from my mom's cousin's wallet, and he came to tell me off, and he said he's going to tell my mom. I said, tell her. He did. And then my mom was chasing me to beat me. And I remember crying like this. I was so afraid. I thought my life was going to end. Bless his heart. I was going to even beg God.
God didn't make me that smart. What you mean God didn't make you that smart? Get over here. Please, Lord. Please forgive me. Please.
Oh, bless him.
He's my legs and a lot of...
Oh, for God's sake. Right. I have no issues with obesity or with people that are... Well, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I have no personal issues with people that are obese. However, one thing I can recognize with people that are obese, as much as you want to blame health or the fat gene or whatever, there is a personal choice that comes from free will for you to get yourself to this stage, because there must be a point where you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, I will die if I don't stop. Not only that, now you also then are in a position where you are a mother, okay, and you are at that point of death. You're literally on the tipping scale to death at this point, right? And your son, who is 5, bless his heart, he's now basically your carer. He's a little child whose childhood was stolen from him because you couldn't stop putting food in your mouth. How sad is that? How horrible is that?
Things.
Bless him.
Basically everything that involves standing and walking around a lot, Patrick does for me. Go get the blue bucket for Mama. We're gonna do some laundry real quick. He has to help me with just about every household chore.
Oh no, baby. Bless him. Oh,
without him, I'd be lost. Because I just can't do it on my own.
It's hard for her to walk, so I do the stuff that she wants me to do every day.
I know. Bless him. Oh no.
Hat. You wanna go get the hot dogs in the bread for Mama? It makes me feel guilty because
you
should be playing with toys and watching TV. I should.
Exactly. You should. You should definitely. Why? You now need to save whatever benefit monies you got to get some sort of gastric band, because it's not fair for you to completely steal your son's childhood. He's only 5 and he's doing laundry that is bigger than him. Bless him, and he's so sweet. You've just robbed a perfectly healthy human of a very healthy future, because what you've made him do as a 5-year-old is going to mark him for life. This is shaping him as a human, and this is not healthy. Bless the little baba.
You're taking care of him.
You should be taking care of him. 3-0, bless him.
But he has to help me.
And he's still happy.
Because my husband is a truck driver, and he's gone probably 70 to 100 hours a week.
Eat breakfast.
So our food is mostly what Pat can microwave or carry in here for me to prepare. And it scares me that he's learning a lot of his eating habits from me.
Oh, bless him. She's lucky that he's not obese yet, because he could be. There's a lot of 5-year-olds that are obese, you know what I'm saying? He's still okay, but that's probably because he does so much exercise, cooking, cleaning, and doing everything for his mom. Look at her. And she's got a husband. She's got, by the way, she's got a bloody husband. If she's got a husband, ladies, I don't know what a lot of you guys are doing, because she backed herself a man and she's got a kid as big as she is.
Want to be a good mom and take care of him.
You're not going to be a good mom
because I never had
You need
that.
to lose weight, fat shit.
And I know how painful
Sorry,
that
but that
is.
pisses me off.
Don't
cry.
Why I let myself get this way.
Oh, no, I feel bad for her as well.
My early childhood was very unstable because my parents got a divorce when I was 5 years old.
Tristan, I cheated on my girlfriend and I regret it. She's a very strong Christian with great morals. I broke up with her and haven't told her. Do you think I should try and fix it or walk away? Bro, at least admit it. Or break up with her because you feel bad. She doesn't even know why. At least say, look, I cheated on you. Listen,
This guy is the problem. He's like the mass manipulator. Like he's great at changing the narrative so that obviously everything that he says comes across as right, and that's why he's a very influential person, because he can never be wrong. I know a little thing or two about that, because I can never be wrong too, and that's because I have a way with words. You know what I'm saying? If there's something that I did wrong, I know how to take myself out of the problem by acting as if it's not really that bad, and if you complain too much, eventually it'll be your problem. I get that, I understand, but guess what? That's very dangerous. Okay, at least admit it. Like at least Tristan's opinion to say, okay, at least admit it. Just try and tell her. You don't have to fix things, but try and say like, yeah, I broke up with you because I cheated on you and I couldn't live with myself with that. Fine. Not be saying, but I didn't cheat and you're reacting bad. Shut up. You can't tell a woman that you cheated and she won't react bad and want to leave you. Well, some women can handle it. I'm just speaking for myself. I could not. If a man cheats on me, it's just best that he packs his bags and he goes, because even if I choose to stay in the relationship, I don't think I'm going to be a very healthy and positive individual to be around. So I'll probably say it's best that you walk away. I'm not the sort of person to handle that sort of negativity very, very well.
You get back to the hotel and stay there.
I like it here.
Go on, get moving.
I said I like it here.
Well, I can change that in a hurry.
How do you define?
Oh, sugar. Hey. I did not expect that one. I did not see that one coming. He said I can change it immediately. And did you notice who that actually was? That's actually Ronald Reagan, I believe. Hold on, let's go back a little bit. Is that Ronald Reagan? That was one dirty slap. She did a whole 360. That is Ronald Reagan. Did you guys know that he was an actor before he became president? Look, you can change that in a minute. Wow. So that is actually kind of true, okay? So it's one of those things where it's like, be careful what you wish for. Because, because of this kind of gender wars that we're experiencing right now, a lot of people be saying, oh, women of before were better, the men of before were, the men before were this, women before could do this, all this sort of stuff. But really, when we think about the reality of what it meant to live at certain times in history, you should be just very grateful that you're living in the reality that you're living in right now. That's both for men and for women, okay? Yes, as much as now we have more, as much as men had more kind of opportunity and men were a little bit more capable back in the days, men had a lot of pressures that they don't have now. A man, classism was a bit more strong. There's defined classes. You couldn't get out of that. A man's life was all about work. It wasn't like he was going to chill and go on a holiday abroad and all this stuff. The middle class did not exist. You did not have money for the fancy things that we get access to in life right now. It wasn't really that easy, and this is why also men were doing certain things to women. So don't try and glorify the past, because the past is in the past for a reason. And as far as I'm concerned, we as humans are evolving. As difficult as it is to accept that right now, because everybody's moving like an absolute idiot, overall, everyone's lives has actually improved. What has not improved is people's gratitude. The only reason why the world is suffering right now is because people are ungrateful for the position that they're in right now. They're not grateful for the blessings that the modern society has given them. And that's both men and women. You can enjoy certain privileges now that you would never enjoy in the years of before. And there was much more kind of war. There was much more open discrimination, violence and aggression and corruption that people don't give a damn. So we're at this moment in life, we're the most free that we have ever been. We're the most privileged universally than we have ever been. So come on. Don't be telling me that you're missing the men of before. God forbid. Anyways, how do you define white privilege? Let's see, because I like this one, because people tell me I get white privilege all the time because I'm mixed race. So
you define like white privilege.
How would you define white privilege?
Like getting better access, more opportunities because of your skin color, or like because you're white, I guess.
What system in place right now gives white people an advantage over black people?
I feel like it's less like a system, like institutions, and more just like day to day, like how people act.
No, I hear what you're saying, because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people share that same sentiment.
Right.
I just think that it's more of a feeling than a reality. I think that if you look at majority of people, they're not going to treat a black person any different. Do you believe that any of your professors here on campus, does any of them discriminate against you on your grades, the way they teach? Do they treat you any different in the classroom?
No.
Most people's experience is like yours, but yet they feel like somebody else may be experiencing discrimination.
Okay. Yes.
And I would argue that it's propaganda more so than reality. And the merit.
Yes, I would say that as well. I think it's a bit more of a propaganda than a reality, you see. Especially in the world that we're living in right now, being the white person is probably putting you at the bottom of the pecking order. You see, I don't understand this white privilege thing. White privilege, if you're talking about any white privilege, I would say that you're trying to compare yourself, if you're not a native of a land, with the natives of said land. Now, why should you never compare yourself with the natives? Okay, the reason why you should never compare yourself with for example, with the British whites here, if you're like a British ethnic minority, okay, you shouldn't, because they have generational knowledge, wisdom, wealth that you cannot have access to because they've been here for longer than you. Fine, that's very understandable. It's not because you're being discriminated, it's simply because they know more about the system than you do, therefore they can operate within the system much better than you. However, even still with that said, I genuinely believe my experience as a foreigner who has an accent, has a foreign name and has color to her skin, I've never experienced myself to have less or more opportunities than anybody else. If anything, actually, I do get more opportunities than perhaps my white counterparts, because people assume that I'm lesser than what I am and therefore need more support and more help. So they pity me a lot more. So I actually get a lot more benefits, a lot more grants and things like this, because supposedly I come from a disadvantaged background. So I think things have changed. Maybe once upon a time, yes, white privilege was a much more real thing. But in the day of today, I feel that the white privilege has changed to the diversity and inclusion privilege, where meritocracy is no longer on the table, but more like your skin tone. Okay, that is something that is a privilege now, that white people are starting to miss out on opportunities simply because they've already met the quota on how many white people they can hire, and they're just looking for blacks or for lesbians, the LGBTQ people or whatever, you see? So white privilege, I think as it stands right now, is a thing of the past that people are trying to drag onto a present where it no longer exists. Being white is actually quite hard. Being a white man in this day and age is probably the worst thing that can ever happen to anybody. I'm just telling you. Madness.
We all deal with racism. White people deal with racism. Black people deal with racism. Everyone deals with
more racism. White people or black people?
At this point in time, I would definitely say white people.
You're delusional.
Hey.
I believe you're delusional.
You can't erase 400 years. You can't.
No one's trying to erase 400 years.
Oh, like, you know what's even the worst thing about this conversation of like racism and things like this is people's only point of reference for racism is slavery, when slavery wasn't actually something that was built on racism. The way slavery actually came about, it wasn't necessarily about racism. It was more about it's more about classism, I would say, number one, and it was business. You see, because even the people that were taking the slaves from Africa to the Americas and all these other places, they were given these slaves, yeah? And they were given these slaves by people that looked exactly the same as them, you know? These would be spoils of war. These would be people that they just wanted to get rid of. They sold them to the white man. So every time people want to go back to slavery to explain why black people are being, you know, are still facing racism, I think it's a little bit kind of, come on, like, let's think of another one, because we are the ones perpetuating the narrative of slavery rather than staying away from it and actually dealing with the present problems that we're dealing with right now. Okay. And I don't think racism is one of them, because racism, and the reason why I say that is not to say that no one experiences racism. It's just simply to explain that everyone's dealing with racism. Racism is something that is universally felt. Everyone is racist, and everyone has faced racism. Okay, white people are racist the same way that we are racist against white people. Indians are racist. The Chinese are racist. Every race is racist against another race. It's that simple. Like, this is what people are not understanding. Racism is not something that is specifically, you know, like exclusive to white people against black people. Everyone is racist, and especially now because of what has happened, you know, Black Lives Matter and this open kind of dialogue on diversity and inclusion and making it up for the 400 years of slavery, you know, making black people feel kind of supported, empowered, and put on a pedestal. I feel like there's much more overt racism from the black community towards the whites than anything, including now having all of these terms like Becky, Karen, Snow Bunny, all these sort of things, having people who openly go on the internet bashing men that go for the snow bunnies. Like, isn't that racism? How would it feel for white people to go absolutely viral and have this huge community by saying that white girls or white men shouldn't be touching the chocolates, whatever? And I know that their terms probably would annoy black people a lot as well. So it's like there's a hypocrisy when it comes to racism. Everyone has it. Everyone deals with it. Trust me, get over it. Just understand that self-preservation is the reason why everybody's racist. You don't want the outsiders to come and mess up your thing. Fine. It is very understandable, but come on, I think it's time to get over it.
But you're only focused, hyper-focused on the 400 years instead.
Yes.
Of course, you're thinking by your skin color instead of your brain. Your brain is not here. Your brain is not here. Your brain's up here. So think with your brain instead of your skin color. When you think by your skin color, this is what type of mentality you embody.
I'm black.
Yes.
That's it. I'm black.
We're human beings. We're human beings. This is why our society is going backwards instead of forward. You can keep repeating the same thing over and over. We keep repeating the narrative. It doesn't matter.
You're integrationist. I don't care about white people.
I don't care about integration. I care about us.
And this is, again, another thing that is quite concerning. You're an integrationist. So basically, he doesn't like this other guy is talking about racism in itself, but also going against the integration of races. I mean, that is hypocrisy on one hand, hypocrisy on the other. It's just a lot of nonsense. So you don't want integration with other races. What is that then? What do you think that means? Integration opposite would be segregation. Segregation is based on racism, the separation of races, understanding that they shouldn't be together. That's wrong. That is racism. That's the thing. I think sometimes the community is so focused on how much they suffered in the last 400 years that they don't even hear themselves talk. Do you understand? Like, how are you bashing somebody that believes that we should all be able to coexist and collaborate, cohabit without problems, regardless of the skin color? This is something that is really, really ugly. Also, something that the big brother said, you're thinking by your skin color, not thinking with your brain. And that's another problem. A lot of people identify themselves by the skin color, not fully understanding that the skin color is merely one small, minuscule trait of your whole existence. And if anything, your brain is more important than your skin tone. This is why we know for a fact that black people can achieve intellectually the same as a white person, as a Chinese person, as an Indian person. Like, are you crazy? Go see the Nigerian doctors that are doing surgeries on babies that are still within the placenta. Like, are you crazy? So there's nothing to do with skin color. Stop thinking about your skin color as a determinant of your success, of your future, or whatever. It doesn't mean anything. And the more you kind of run away from those conversations that are based on skin color and you just focus on human substance, then you'll know that a lot of the problems with a lot of communities is that they don't have a strong substance to be able to propel them to success. And that's where the problem is. And that's what we need to work on. Not anything to do with race itself. Come on, brother.
Coming together as the United States of America. This is the United States of America, not a divided States of America. You're in the divided States of America. I'm in the United.
I had got this nigga gonorrhea and HIV.
all within a month, right? So boom, we was together for like 5 years. I do hair, so like I had all these motherfucking clients or whatever. And for some reason, every time a client left, it was so fucking embarrassing because like they would always send me my nigga page and be like, yo, ain't this your boyfriend? Like, why he in my DMs or whatever, blah, blah, blah. There's one girl, I know she had chlamydia, like, and she was the bob. She used to suck like everybody, whatever. And she had gonorrhea in her throat. I basically like made her come over. I did her hair or whatever, and I already knew what he was gonna be on. So like, boom, that shit got set up. Him and his homeboy though, they was both sitting on the couch, and she bought both of them. So boom. So then I played it off or whatever. He wondering why like I don't really want to do nothing with him and stuff like that. And I'm just basically trying to say like I'm not really feeling too well. Like I think I got to the hospital or whatever. Like I just don't really feel like we need to be doing anything. So then a couple weeks went by. He told me he had to go to the hospital, and I'm just like, what's the matter? Like, are you okay or whatever? He's like, no, like I'm cool. It's just like a regular physical type shit. He never told me, like, still to this day, he never confessed that he had fucking chlamydia, but like I fucking know he did it. Like, so then boom, time went on. Like mind you, he never confessed it, and I never said anything either. So like I just played it off. Another instance, this girl that I know, she used to do like threesomes and stuff with gay people, and like no offense to gay people, but like a lot of them do got HIV. Long story short, he was basically coming at her for like a couple years. Jesus. It wasn't like he just hit her up out of the clear blue. Like he was on her ass. And I didn't ever want to tell him nothing because like this my friend kinda. So it was just like I'm not about to be blurting out her business, but it's just like I kept telling him like, yeah, you don't really want her, like you feel me? Like I wasn't really saying it like that, but on some like she told me yeah, like I think she DM'd me after I had left, so like do you think I should proceed? And I'm just like, do what you gotta do. Like I'm sorry, not sorry, but like you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers is doing it to themselves at this point. They wound up doing what they did. And after that, me and him didn't talk for like a week. I think he kind of caught on quicker than he caught on with the gonorrhea thing because ignoring my phone calls, I wasn't coming over the house. I didn't know nothing about no doctors. And still to this day, I don't talk to him. And he don't post on Instagram that much either. So he might be like distraught with life. So yeah.
Wow. Damn. Okay, listen. Men, you have to be super careful. And this is the thing. And these are the men. This is not just every man. Although every man needs to be careful. But these are the men that if you're cheating on your girl, if you're doing your girl dirty, that's when you need to sleep. Not with one eye open, with both of them open. In fact, don't even sleep at all. Because best believe that the moment she gets a whiff of what it is that you're doing, the way that you're doing her dirty, she's going to do 10 times dirtier. I'm telling you. This is the thing. As a woman, I know my capabilities to not only manipulate, but to also scheme up a nice big boy of revengeance. Is it revengeance? Revenge. Oh, vengeance. Yes, I can build up like a nice vengeance plan, okay? I can destroy your whole life because this is the thing about men and what you don't understand. We as women, when we are in an intimate relationship with you or anything like that, we get to see a lot of vulnerability. We get to see a lot of your vulnerabilities, weaknesses, secrets, you know, things that you don't even know about yourself. We can see them because obviously we're very observant, we're very sensitive, and you know, we're women. We see things that you don't see. So if you're now doing a lady dirty, like how the boyfriend did this lady dirty, brother, I don't even know why you're still there. She's about to ruin your whole life as she did. Not only did she give him gonorrhea, she put him in touch with a girl that had AIDS. He had chlamydia. He had all of this stuff. And she knew that this was happening because every single time he would hit up her clients. So instead of her getting rid of his sorry ass, she decided to still be there but F up his whole life by putting him in touch with dirty hoes that she knew were going to give him something, to the point that it went as far as HIV. Now, I will definitely condemn her for having very kind of like demonic traits about herself, because only a true demon, only a very evil bitch would actually go as far as calculating and devising such an evil plan, right? So she's a problem. But then as a man, if you're doing really horrible things, don't you think about karma? Don't you think that at some point, eventually, this might come back to bite you in the ass? And depending on how bad your behavior is, your karma will just match it. So if you're now hitting up every single one of your girl's clients after they've been to your house to do hair with her, you're humiliating her to other women, what do you think she's going to do to you? So all I got to say is, man them, if you are doing something sus, if you're doing the wrong thing, leave your woman before you betray her to a point where she wants to end your life. We already know that women, when they are hurt, they're very, very scary and have the potential to commit very evil and atrocious acts. Okay, we know this because we've already learned about Victoria Everest, who set up a man under false rape allegations. Why? Because she was angry at him because he did her dirty. And so what did she want? She wanted the ultimate revenge. So she did come up with that nice revenge plot. Unfortunately for her, she got caught, which is fortunately for us because then we can expose these people. But this is another example of another woman who has already evil tendencies and was put in a position where she felt hard done by. And then what did she do? She devised the most devilish revenge plan. And it worked out well by the sounds of things because the guy seemed to have just disappeared and, doesn't seem to be about his life no more. So it's very, very sad. Men, stop treating women like trash. If you don't want to be with your woman anymore, just leave her because then you're not putting yourself at risk of death or something worse like HIV. All right. Anyways, on that note, it's been about 2 hours of doom scrolling, about 2 hours of me feeding you and feeding my brain with all of this crazy content about relationships, about transitions, about everything in between. And I'm going to be doing these weekly. So make sure that you follow, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know how you feel about everything that we've seen. Obviously, as you know, my opinions tend to be a little bit strong. So if you want to fight me, make sure you do it on the comments. I'll make sure that I'm there commenting, keyboard warrior and all of that. All right. Until then, make sure that, again, you've subscribed to Mischief Managed Media. And I promise that I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good. See you later.